Let's go to Kyle. Hello, Kyle. You are up last.
Hey, Bart.
How's it going?
Hey, how's it going? First time caller, long time listener. Good to be here.
Okay. Awesome.
So this one is playing three-handed and quite deep.
And where are you playing out of?
Rounders Card Club in San Antonio.
You're playing so Rounders Card Club. And you're playing three-handed. This is like the end of the night or what?
So the game started as a 1-3 game.
1-3 match, like a 1-3 match?
Yeah, it's a match. So this is the remnants of the 1-3 game.
So it's in essence uncapped, right? For the most part?
Not necessarily. It's 100% match, the regular 1-3, but we kicked it up to 5-10, which anything over 1-3 there, the 5-5 is uncapped.
So you are now playing 5-10, but it started as a 1-3.
Correct.
Okay. So I played at Rounders a couple of times. I think, actually, you know what? No, what was I went to San Antonio. When I lived in Austin, I went to San Antonio to play Big O a few times. Actually, I don't think it was at Rounders. What's the other place there?
SA Card House?
SA, yeah. But then Rounders took SA's game for a while, and then it went back.
So the Big O crowd, they go back and forth
okay.
between the two joints. Right now, they're mainly at SA. But
okay. And I know that this is going to come into play, but I would have said this anyways, that I played with a guy who used to drive, and he still plays at the Lodge. Live stream. I don't know about TCH. I haven't watched in a while. Big Daddy Chaz, I think people know from San Antonio, right?
Right.
So if you've seen him, and he's one of those live field players that I think is decent for what it is. He's, some people from the theory perspective might be like, a live player. But I mean, he's certainly a huge winner in those games for sure. We can talk about his fundamentals. He might have better fundamentals than Boots. You remember Boots? Do you know Boots?
Very vaguely, I remember. Yeah. I recall him.
I was talking to Doug Polk about Boots. I said, I know all these regs from Texas when I was with him at Fenway Park last week. And then I had a hand against Big Daddy Chaz in the stupidest, huge single board PLO bomb pot, which is the dumbest game in the world. And Big Daddy Chaz and I, 2 weeks in a row, both had the nuts in PLO, and we couldn't put any more. Well, one time we both had free rolls, and he won 3/4. Then the other time, we couldn't even put any more money in on the turn. That was in a Rampage game. All right, so three-handed 5-10. How deep are you guys?
1 point before we start the hand. The main villain this hand is actually Chaz, funny enough.
There you go.
So here we are.
Yeah, Big Daddy Chaz. Okay, so how deep are you guys?
So I'm the effective stack here with about 12.3K.
Wow, you're deep.
Very.
Three-handed. Okay. So 5-10, Rounders, 12.3.
Button straddle's on for 50.
Okay. 5-10, 50?
Yeah.
And of course, the button's going to get the straddle is on the button naturally, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So 5-10 plus 50. Okay.
Small blind folds. I open 7 of hearts, 7 of spades, the 150.
Hero in the big blind to 150. And what do you have?
7 of hearts, 7 of spades.
With 7 of hearts, 7 of spades. Okay.
And then button calls, which is Chaz.
All right. So button, Big Daddy Chaz. Calls. Okay. Which is probably pretty wide, right? He's getting a price in position.
Any two against me in position.
Any two. Yeah. All right, so 3-10 to the flop, okay.
And then it comes off 10 of hearts, 7 of clubs, and 4 of hearts.
10 of hearts, 7 of clubs, 4 of hearts. So you got middle set with a 2 flush board.
Right.
Okay.
I go ahead and bets 175. And he calls.
So hero bets 175, and the button calls. I don't know if you've been listening to this particular live stream, Kyle, before you joined, but on the live show in this episode, we've actually had a couple calls where the pre-flop raiser has check raised the flop instead of betting. Did you ever consider that in this spot?
Yeah, it definitely ran through my mind. I would just hate to see it check back and a wet card come off, and now I don't know where I'm at. So I just prefer to bet against him.
I mean, the only reason, the case for check raising here is, of course, you unblock top pair, right? I feel like he might stab at some boards here. It's kind of a little bit of a raggedy board, and he might bet off with a lot of stuff. I'm not saying that I wouldn't bet. I'm just saying there certainly can be a case made for sometimes check raising here. So 175 and call, and now the pot is 660. Okay.
Turn comes a queen of diamonds, and I bet 550.
So you go pretty much almost the size of the pot.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's good with not only with the draws out there, but playing shorthanded. You unblocking having a flop top, you know, the top pair on the flop, right? Because you've got 7-7. I think he still has to defend down here with 10x, and he probably would, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, you're blocking the sevens in terms of like what you think he might call the flop with and then start to fold off like a 7 or a 4. You block the sevens, all the draws are out there, and he's still going to call with a 10. So why not, right?
Right. So my exact thoughts, basically.
Yep. He calls again or what?
Yeah, he calls the 550.
What do you think about the amount of flush draws that he has here? Did you get any sense?
Very few. I mean, like we said, he's on the straddle. His range is basically so wide that, I mean, yeah, he could definitely have flush draws, but he could also be floating. And, you know, that's a board where a lot of cards are going to come in that
change the nuts.
He could bluff on. And so that was running through my mind.
So you think that he's wider, far wider here, calling across turn than maybe what would be optimal, you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So 1760. Again, you guys started 12.3 effective. It's just a single raise pot. And you have put in 700, like we're just under 900. So, I mean, God, you're still over 11,000 effective here. Again, race with in three-handed button straddle, heroes in the big blind, second to act, raise 7-7 to 150, button calls. 10-7-4-2 hearts, hero bets 175 with middle set, button calls. Pot 660, turns the queen of diamonds, hero bets 550 on the turn, button calls, 1760, okay.
River comes 4 of diamonds.
4 of diamonds, so hero boats.
Yes, lovely sight.
And I assume you think that he is 3-betting pre-flop 100% of the time with 10-10 and queen-queen here?
Right. I mean, maybe, I don't see many flats there with 10s or queens, just the way the game had been playing.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of ruled that out.
And also, too, I will say that 4, it's not like, you know, it would be one thing if the 4 was not a heart on the flop, so he could have like a 4 and a flush draw, but it's not. It's 10 of hearts, 7 of clubs, 4 of hearts. So if you're going with the approach that you think he's overfloating, meaning like he's going to arrive here with nothing more often than he should, more often than equilibrium, just because of the dynamics of this is kind of like some live street poker, right? Like if we didn't know that on paper, I would probably take maybe a 1/3 to 40% river sizing here to make the 10s get really to make the 10s get really sticky. I mean, we know he's going to call with any queen X of hearts or something, or if he had just called with like king queen with a heart, we know that's going to call. But I want to make the 10x kind of sticky here. Whereas like on paper, maybe like front or flush draws don't bluff as much. That would be my thing if we didn't have this background. Now, how would I make the change? How would I change this to somebody who might arrive here with nothing more than they should? Yeah, maybe you check here, right? Because maybe he thinks like you've given up. I mean, you've given up, and you give him the opportunity to bluff whatever he's floating with.
So given the dynamic between us, it goes a step deeper than that, where I know that if I bet, it won't make a lot of sense to him. So it's almost like I bet big to induce a raise, if that makes sense.
So you're going to bet to try to induce a raise. I mean, are you going to use, that's another thing that came up on this live stream. So are you going to do a little like reverse block bet type of thing?
No, I bet huge.
Like how big?
Well, I bet about 80%, 1250 and 1760.
So hero bets 1250. I mean, that wouldn't usually be the play if I was trying to induce a raise, but I guess you could make the case because you have so much stack depth that it might, I mean, I would think if I wanted to induce, I would bet like 400 to 500 here. It would be ridiculous to bet this sizing if you guys start the river with like only 4,000, right? Like if you think that this bet is going to induce, you have to start with at least multiple SBRs, which you do.
Right.
I mean, you still have 11,000 left, so it's just not something that comes off the top. basically what you're doing is you're not going like insane, like 2x the size of the pot, which really would reduce his bluffs, right? But because you're so deep, you're going slightly larger where you still think he might raise you.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this question, like just from his perspective, before you even tell me what happens, like what does he raise? Like what does he get here with that raises? And it's just kind of like what would, if he's 3-betting 10-10 and queen-queen mostly pre-flop, what does he raise with here at the end? Because I don't even know if he raises queen-10 with the board paired, maybe. I'm just trying to think. It's just like it's kind of a thing. He doesn't really have a naked 4 here, does he? Although maybe he would. I don't know, because he's overfloating and he's going to represent front door hearts, and he's got 5-4 offsuit or something. All right, so hero bets 1250. Okay.
And he raises the 4600.
So this is where I actually think the most interesting part of this hand is. So hero bets 1250, button raised to 4600. They started the hand they started the river with a lot. I mean, they started the river with like 11.4-ish, 11.5, 11,500. The pot was only 1760, so hero bets 1250, button raised to 4600. What I'm saying here is that when I first read this hand, I was thinking like, I don't know if I would actually 3-bet jam here because of the fact that I don't know what goes raise call here. I'm not sure. Unless like he's so wide, you think he's going to raise. If you think he arrives here with a 4 and then raise calls with it, I guess you could make the case for jamming. That's making some big assumptions. And the other thing I was going to say here too is that if he has queen 10 somehow and he was playing it this way, I don't know. Well, queen 10 obviously loses to any overpair, but he blocks the sets. So maybe but wouldn't he start putting some money in on the turn though? It's just weird. Like at this stack depth, like a lot of strong hands that are strong hands before the river want to put more money in, right? They want to raise at some point. The board's so flushing, so that's why the whole thing is like, this would almost be like a 4 or nothing at all. Now, if you think he's going to raise call off with a 4, because he really should be folding off a 4 on the turn, then I guess you 3-bet jam. I just wonder, like, if just in a more standard format, once in a while, if you only run into like quad 4s that gets like raised called here. But I guess it's a little bit of street poker. Maybe he will convince himself. Maybe he played queen 10 in a weird way and he'll convince himself to call. Maybe he arrived here with a 4 and he was going to bluff front door hearts. Do you think he's going to raise call off with 5-4 if you jam?
Yeah, and one thing to note, Bart, is this night in particular had been played after quite some tequila. So
I've been there, man.
The street poker element is certainly applicable.
Ace of heart. T Corrupta says ace of hearts 4x. Yeah, maybe ace 4 off with the ace of hearts. Gonna represent the front door flush. Gets there with a 4. He could also no, he can't. He could have queen 4 suited. Queen 4 suited. Again, I still find it. This is the reason why I think if he doesn't have air, the reason why I think 4x that's non-boated is the most likely holding that he has here for value is because I think that he starts to raise off everything that's 2 pair plus by the turn, as he should. So people are saying that like if he had like queen 4 of clubs, which runs into a boat, which of course the caller beats, I still think that gets raised at a very, very high frequency on the turn at this stacked up. So I think ace 4 with the ace of hearts makes sense, or any 4 that he continues to the river with, whether it's 5-4, whatever he's got, king 4 off, I don't know. So I guess then then also too, you're only really losing to pocket 4s if he's going to 3-bet 10s and queens. And for the reasons that I said that money needs to be put in, then I don't buy that he has 4s as much as he has a 4x. So I'm talking myself into jamming then, and then you add that tequila into the factor, then I'm probably going to jam.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't we have heard from 4-4?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I said that, right. You should hear from all the hands that are better than 2 pair plus. That's why I think the only value hand that he has here is if he runs into 4x at the end.
Yep.
So you jam or what?
Yeah, I jammed. and he ends up folding after about 2 minutes of tanking.
Huh? What do you mean 2 minutes of tanking? I'm just saying this out loud. Like, what hand? Doesn't he either just have air or a calling hand?
Yeah, I don't know.
Was he like drunk and he was trying to like, was it a fake tank?
Maybe it was something to save face. I don't know. I'll never know.
Huh.
He started asking me when he was tanking if I was bluffing.
I
think we both know that was not the case.
We went through all that. I would have expected him, because he's not I haven't known him the type to fake tank usually. Like, no. It's just a weird one, because it really should have air here, or what hand could he possibly be thinking about here? By the way, if this hand gets back to Big Daddy Chaz, which I'm sure it will be, I would love for Big Daddy Chaz to call in with a hand. Maybe not this one, or maybe if he remembers this one, he can tell us. But he was always a very nice guy to me. I like the guy. And I don't know if he's ever interested in calling a hand in.
I'll talk to him next time I see him.
All right. Thank you very much for the call. Appreciate it.